Welcome, Maven.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Melinda, for the introduction. As Melinda mentioned, I'm Maven Gardner. I go by they, them pronouns. And first off, I just want to thank everyone for letting me come and share my story with y'all today. I entered foster care at age 5. And during my 13 years of care, I was moved to 28 different placements all over the U.S., even though I'm from Seattle originally. When I was 7 years old, I participated in a creative writing group in one of my group homes. And it was a natural outlet for me, and I really, really loved it. I kept writing into my teen years about everything until I realized that the staff in my group homes were taking what I had written and using my words against me. I was encouraged to find a creative outlet while I was in care, yet when I found one, I was punished for it, and so I was devastated as a result. I tried hiding my poetry, and by the time I was 17 years old, I stopped writing for long periods of time just to protect myself. I was about to age out of foster care in 6 months, and I had no idea what I would do when I exited. When the time came for me to leave my last placement, my social worker was nowhere to be found, and I had nowhere to go. I managed to make it to Texas to a family member in hope of finding some resources and support down there. And I was unable to find any housing or shelters on my own. I had no prior job experience, and I didn't know where I would start. And I was looking for support so I could move forward with my goals and work to being a better person. Instead, I just found a lot of constant conflict within my family, and those were the people who were supposed to be my safety net. And I understood I was legally an adult, but I hadn't been equipped with any tools to be on my own while in care, so I wasn't ready to be an adult yet. I managed to get a Greyhound ticket to head back here to Seattle. I packed one bag of books and one bag of clothes, so I was very prepared. And I managed to make it back here to some friends and family. I didn't have a solid plan for what I would do once I arrived, but I did know there were a few shelters and resources I'd be able to access, and so I just kind of planned to go from there. When I got back here, I made connections with a lot of old foster youth. I managed to couch surf with some friends in between there. The previous foster youth that I did run into were the ones who actually introduced me to the Orion Center and to youth care as a whole, and they were the ones to help me get involved with services that really helped me the most as a homeless youth. At Orion, I used to access, drop in, go there to meet with staff, get meals, and I stayed at the overnight shelter on a few occasions. The staff at Orion encouraged me a lot to apply to the TILE program. And for those who don't know, the TILE program is an employment training program where youth get to create art and learn job skills, and they get paid to be in training. It helped stabilize me. I opened my first bank account. I was able to start saving money. I bought my first pair of Doc Martens with my first paycheck, which is now my favorite pair of shoes ever. My anxiety became a lot more manageable while I was in the TILE program because I was able to put my energy into something instead of just wasting time until drop-in opened. Paula, who's here today, the TILE project supervisor, helped me write my first cover letter and my resume. One day, we had to go to the Westlake Center to apply to random jobs to get the experience of applying to jobs as a young adult. We were asked to ask 3 businesses for applications. My anxiety took over, and I was really, really struck by a lot of fear, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. And so Paula told me she'd be proud of me if I was able to at least turn in one application. And she always helped me through my anxiety without making me feel bad about it. I managed to turn in one application. I was really, really nervous and really, really awkward, but it was great. It felt like a lifetime, even though it was only about 10 seconds. But now asking for applications is fine. It's a breeze for me. And I'm really just happy that I was able to have someone like Paula and Leslie and the youth care staff in general to help me work through my anxiety and let me stretch outside my comfort zone comfortably. The TAL program helped me get on my feet to find some programs that I could explore my poetry in. When I turned 19, I applied to be Seattle's Youth Poet Laureate for 2016-2017, and I was chosen. Thank you. One of the benefits for being the Youth Poet Laureate was that I got to publish my first anthology of poems, which I named Blood Melody, with Penmanship Books. It's humbling to see how other people experience my writing, and it's been a very, very interesting journey to go from hiding my poetry to being published in City Arts Magazine this year, participating in the Celebrity Softball Classic with Macklemore. Last year, I was even able to open for Ta-Nehisi Coates at Benaroya Hall. So just a bit before I became the YPL, the Youth Poet Laureate, I found out that I was pregnant. I was still homeless at this time. And because there was nothing pertaining to pregnancy or my current living situation in the YPL application, this wouldn't come to light until the day of the announcement. I was asked by the Seattle Times if I'd feel comfortable doing an interview and article about my living situation, being the Poet Laureate, and welcoming my first child. And some of you may have seen the newspaper. The headline read, "She doesn't have a home, but she has a book deal." And my life changed from there. Being a mother has broadened my goals, but it really hasn't changed them much. My son's name is Maverick. He is here today. You may hear him yelling and whatnot in the back. I had a dream before Maverick was born. In my dream, I kept calling this little baby Mav, and he was like standing right in front of me, and I couldn't really get to him. I could just watch him. And so when I woke up, I looked up the origin behind the word or the name Mav, and Maverick popped up. And you know, Maverick means an independent, unconventional person. And so I knew right then what his name would be. I didn't know what I was having at the time, but I knew what his name would be, and I knew it would be him. And when I had him, he looked exactly like the baby in my dream, and it really freaked me out. But it was really great. Yeah, he's an amazing little bean. My goal for Maverick is that he be himself, that he's informed, he's a free spirit, and that he's open-minded. Oh, also that he'll be a hardcore feminist. I'm really proud of my son and who he'll become. I'm proud of being a mother. I'm proud that I published an anthology of poems. When people ask me what my goals are, I tell them that I want to start an arts and education trust fund for Maverick and myself. I want to open my own nonprofit. I'll call it the Treble Clef Project. We'll work on healing trauma through arts with dance and music. It'll eventually have a shelter and spaces for building a more informed community. And we'll be welcoming of youth and young adults who identify as LGBTQ and questioning. I also want to travel. I really like to be on the move. I like learning about new cultures and about new people. I've got a very nomadic soul. There's a whole globe out there and only one life, and I want to make a difference in ways that are small but significant, or really big and impactful ways. I just want to make changes and be someone who makes changes that matter. Sometimes people ask me how I stay hopeful for the future, so I tell them I don't. I try to balance myself between hopeful and realistic, because sometimes things don't go the way you want them to, and you need to be prepared for that. To me, being resilient is much more important than being hopeful, and I'm as resilient as I come. Before I step down today, I want to make sure you take away one thing from my speech. Even while experiencing homelessness myself, I was always in awe of how many young people were on the streets and how many people weren't doing anything about it. It was hard for me to believe how many people were ignorant or were just actively refusing to be a part of the solution. I personally think it should be required for everyone in Seattle to go to trainings about homelessness, so they know what causes it and what it's really like. I know this contradicts my earlier statement about being realistic, but I'm only human. One misconception about homeless youth is that they're lazy or they choose to be homeless. We want to support ourselves. We want to work hard. The reality is that you can go to school, you can go to work, and you can still be homeless, and I did that myself. It's hard for people to imagine what it's like to be 18 and to go to college without any support system. It's hard to imagine what happens without a support system in general. And it's really hard to imagine the pain of watching a city climb higher towards the sky all around you, and you have to call the pavement your home. So I'm just going to ask everyone to take a moment and imagine. I hope you will all be a part of the solution to help prevent others from having to face this reality. Now I'm going to read a poem of mine that I wrote for my son called Black Courage. There are wolves in wolves' clothing telling the sheep that the weak are the ones to fear. You are that sheep, baby boy. Courage runs in your blood, so you will be tapped into. We live in a world where the authority shoots patterns into unarmed citizens. We live with crisp folds in blue uniforms, profiling our melanin, trying to connect imaginary holes in speech-leaking innocence, shoving bullets into bellies and elbows into faces because we decided our home will be wherever the hell we make it. We are sun-favored, kinky-haired pains and privileged asses. We are locked elbows and tangled roots of family trees, softly swaying strange fruit. So I say again, my son, you will be tapped into, for courage runs through you. Black courage, thicker than blood, but flowing smooth as a sky blue stream. Black courage I can't teach you, my son, but I will lead by example. America will try and tear the steel from our backbones and replace Afro with star-spangled shackles. Don't let them. You can never love your black too loudly. And there is no such thing as holding your head too high. Remember, your melanin is your greatest accessory. Thank you.